Hello, SCC. I'm Rustin Haft, and this is my wife, Elaine. We're glad to be part of this devotional series on marriage. We've been married for 40 years, and we've been coming to SCC for about 9 years. We have 2 grown daughters, we have a son-in-law, a grandson, and we have another grandchild on the way. And we especially wanted to tell you today that in the 1970s and 1980s, our hair actually looked worse than it does right now. So Gary, who cuts our hair, if you're out there listening, we really miss you. We also wanted to talk a little bit about oneness in marriage. You've likely heard the scripture, the two shall become one flesh. Did you know that that phrase appears at least 4 times in the Bible? It seems God is telling us that it's very important. If our ultimate goal is to glorify and enjoy Him, it seems He means for us to do that in part by a unity with our spouse. Like the rest of our walk with Christ, it's a process. Over 40 years, Elaine and I are still growing closer to each other, but we think God means for us to be intentional about this, to work at it, to have it as a goal. So with that in mind, we have a few things we'd like to share with you that have helped us in our journey toward oneness. First, although we both make individual Bible reading and prayer a priority, we found that doing a devotional and praying together is really helpful. It is sometimes very hard to do. If things happen to be a little cool between Elaine and I, it's very humbling to open the scriptures and then pray together. But the rewards are high. If you'll do this, a lot of the irritants fade and the way does get smoother. With you both focused on the same scripture, your minds have a tendency to come together. Praying together brings out your common concerns and conforms you to God's will and purpose as a couple. Most recently, we've been reading a daily devotional by Charles Spurgeon called Morning and Evening. We can highly recommend it, but of course there are lots of others.
One thing I always appreciated about Rustin was that he made me and our family a priority by making every effort to be home at dinner time. He turned down committee headships and other professional opportunities so we could eat dinner together. It sounds elementary, but I'm convinced this had a lasting benefit to our marriage and to our kids, and studies will support that. Wives, even if you don't like to cook much, like me, try to prepare tasty, nutritious meals that your family can enjoy together. Husbands, make dinner time together a priority as often as you can. After dinner, Rustin would read from Hurlbut's Stories of the Bible, which his dad read to them, and which we highly recommend. This was spiritually nourishing for all of us, but especially for our girls. Even now, we enjoy dinner together, alone or with our family, and it's often the best part of our day. And I think candles are always in order.
Another thing we found helpful is intentionally serving God together. It seems that God shows up most visibly when you do something you know He wants you to do. It's been our experience that when you do that as a couple, He shows up in your marriage. So we try to do things together that His Word tells us to do. This has looked different in different seasons of our life. At one time, it was primarily Deuteronomy 6, where God commands us to teach our children about Him. We really needed Him to show up in those years. And you know what? He really did. And Elaine and I are stronger as a couple because of it. More recently, the Great Commission has struck us. Go into all the world, make disciples of all nations. Lately, we've had the time and the means to do this, so we've done mission trips together. I've watched Elaine present the gospel in a place where dirt floors and metal pots were clanging in the background. At one time, she had to pause because there was a rooster somewhere in the proximity of her left ear crowing loudly. But you know, she persisted. And a family came to know the Lord that day. Likewise, she looked on in dismay as a water buffalo wandered between me and a couple I was sharing the gospel with. You know, God spoke through us those days and in those circumstances. And that was really, truly glorious. But he also showed up in our marriage. And he worked more strands of unity between us.
One of my love languages is quality time together. And since I don't love to cook, but I love to eat, a dinner date is always a treat for me and a boost to our marriage. The last time we did takeout and drove to a pretty parking area. If necessary, utilize a grandparent or trade babysitting services with a friend. Even an hour or two alone together can recharge your batteries and make a difference. If or when your budget allows, try to take a periodic getaway, even for a single night. We found these to be a huge benefit to our togetherness. We found that we still really like each other and have a lot of fun. So get away from the phone, the dog, the doorbell, and the dear UPS man whenever you can. It works wonders. The first part of Proverbs 17:22 says, "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine." Studies show that regular laughter has huge health benefits, and I think marital benefits as well. Men, every woman I know loves to laugh, and laughter is a great stress reliever in marriage. It used to really bug me that Rustin would leave his used dental floss on the bathroom counter. Without nagging, I tried to gently let him know that this wasn't my favorite thing. Once, when I'd been away from home for a few days, I returned to find that all of the accumulated used bright green dental floss was formed into a large smiley face on the white bathroom counter. I found this so funny, and we had a good laugh. And guess what? It didn't bug me so much anymore. And he seldom does it now.
Well, we think oneness in marriage is hugely important, and we thank you for your time today. We hope some of these suggestions may be useful to you and that you'll put one of them to good use. God bless you.